Well, once again, good evening, tēnā koutou, and welcome to another Auckland Conversations event. As many of you will already know, these events are a wonderful opportunity to inspire and stimulate your thinking about the challenges facing Auckland. And certainly one of the biggest challenges facing the city is homelessness. So tonight we focus on housing first, a new approach to homelessness. So thank you for joining us tonight. It's fantastic to see such a good turnout. And welcome to those joining us for the live streaming. I'm Greg Ward. I'll be your MC and moderator for the evening. And we do have a great lineup, including our guest speaker, Dr. Sam Semberis, and our four panellists who I will introduce shortly. We're also delighted to have the Mayor, Phil Goff, join us tonight. And Councillor Penny Hulse is also with us. But first, the housekeeping. In the very unlikely event of an emergency, an alarm will go and you will be guided slowly from the room by the ushers. Bathrooms, as you leave the room, they are on your right. And finally, anyone with a mobile phone, please could you turn it now to silent. We have special welcomes this evening for all the councillors and local board members joining us. Now, these include councillors Desley Simpson, Wayne Walker, and John Watson. We'd also like to acknowledge our event sponsor, Heart of the City. Our thanks also to the Auckland Conversations partner sponsor, Resine. And another big thank you to our program supporters. They include Brookfield's Lawyers, Boffa Miskell, Architectural Designers New Zealand, the New Zealand Institute of Architects, New Zealand Planning Institute, and the New Zealand Green Building Council. Now, a reminder of what you can all look forward to this evening. The format tonight will be a presentation from our guest speaker, Dr. Sam Semberis, followed by a discussion with our four panellists. You are welcome to tweet during the event using hashtag #AKLConversations. Hashtag #AKLConversations for the tweeters. You can also ask questions via Twitter. The hashtag #AKLConversations feed will be monitored. And if time allows, we'll include questions during the panel discussion and the Q&A. We always try to ensure the Auckland Conversations events are inclusive and accessible. And with that in mind, a full transcript and captioning of the presentations and discussions will be available on the Auckland Conversations website in the next few days. Shortly, we'll begin the conversation, but right now it's my pleasure to introduce the Auckland Mayor, Phil Goff. A round of applause.
Inga mana, inga reo, e rangatira mā, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Thank you very much for the introduction, Greg, and can I start off first by welcoming Dr. Sam Semberis here tonight. I think we first met a couple of years ago, Sam, in Parliament when we talked about the very things that we're talking about tonight. And I want to thank you for the inspirational work that you did with Pathways in New York and actually being the founder of the Housing First philosophy, which we are celebrating tonight. Welcome back to New Zealand. Can I also acknowledge our distinguished panel tonight, Viv Beck, Chief Executive of Heart of the City, Moira Lawler as the Chief Executive of Lifewise, Ro Hoskins from Te Matapihi, and Graham Bodman from Auckland Council, and Graham also for your long track record of working in social housing. To all of the NGOs and to the individuals present here, NGOs including Lifewise, Auckland City Mission, Affinity Services, Link People, Vision West, and no doubt many others, thank you for your vision for a better city without homelessness, and thank you for your commitment to striving for that goal. Can I acknowledge our councillors, Penny Hulse here today, Wayne Walker I saw, Wayne somewhere here, yep, John Watson and Desley Simpson. I think we've got some local board members here. Pippa Coombe usually comes to these things, the chair right in front of me, can't see for looking. Welcome Pippa, and Adriana Christie and Richard Northey from the Waitemata local board, and perhaps some other members that I haven't acknowledged. Ladies and gentlemen, I think back to the Auckland that I grew up in. I've got to say, as a young person in this city, I wasn't aware of homelessness, nor was I aware of begging. It's something that actually came as a shock to me when I visited places like Skid Row in New York and the Embankment in London. I was appalled by what I saw in those places. And I celebrated the fact that I'd grown up in a New Zealand which was still then committed to a strong welfare state, where state housing was seen as a guarantee of every New Zealander having access to a decent roof over their head. We were confident, perhaps too confident, that we could fairly meet the needs of all New Zealanders. And perhaps the sense that I had of that time was too idealised. But today, we see the harsh reality of people sleeping rough all over our city, with City Mission calculating that there are around 179 people sleeping rough within a 3 kilometre of the Sky Tower. Chronic homelessness seems to be much more embedded, and the problems that contribute to that: mental illness, addictions, and poverty. The homelessness problem is, of course, much broader than that. Maybe, according to the 2013 census, involving over 20,000 people who could be broadly defined as being without a home in Auckland. And with the unprecedented growth of our city and the failure of housing supply to keep up with demand, Auckland has become, in housing terms, the 4th least affordable city in the world. That was not a title we were seeking. The Kiwi dream of home ownership seems more and more remote. Rental prices rising at 4 times the average rate of inflation means that a lot of our low-income families are paying more than half of their household income in rent. And at the bottom of the heap, we're seeing people doubled up in houses, sleeping in garages, in cars, and out on the streets. Housing New Zealand is no longer seen as a key player in ensuring stable and affordable houses for all, and the number of state houses per capita has diminished sharply and steadily over time. Tonight I'm not focusing on the wider housing challenge, but I do note that our failure to build more than a fraction of the affordable houses we need today is a significant contributing factor to that. And I have a housing task force looking at how we can lift both the pace and the scale of building to better balance the supply of housing with the growing demand for it. What I want to focus on in the last couple of minutes of my comments is the joint initiative that Minister Amy Adams and I announced this morning. And we formally announced our commitment to Housing First, working in partnership with 5 community organisations, all of whom have a track record of commitment to housing the homeless and competency in doing so. Housing First is a proven, effective way to address chronic homelessness. As you know, it works on the philosophy that the very first thing that you must do to deal with homelessness and the problems associated with it is to place a person or a household in a stable place they can call home. And equally important, the next step, to ensure that you build around that individual or family the wraparound services to deal with the problems that contributed to their homelessness, whether it's alcohol or drug addiction, mental illness, or simply poverty. Our goal with Housing First and what we announced this morning is to work with those 5 housing organisations over the next 2 years to house over 470 homeless Aucklanders. The success of what we do in this pilot program is critical so that we can ensure the sustainability of the Housing First program here in Auckland. We know from experience internationally, and we know from experience much closer to home, the People's Project in Hamilton, that a successful Housing First approach will result in over 90% of those people who are sleeping rough and that we have housed will still be in that house 12 months down the track. The pilot is funded by government to the tune of $3.7 million and by Auckland Council to the tune of $1 million, with, I hope, a further commitment in this coming budget from Council of $500,000 a year so that we can provide the coordinating services for the Housing First project. This money from central and local government is a vote of confidence in the organisations in the social sector that we are partnering with. It's a start, and it is significant, but over time, clearly, we need to do much more. I hope, in fact, by the success of this program, that we can draw in the private and the business sector to support financially our Housing First program. All of us want a city that we can be proud of, a city that is inclusive and a city that is committed to ensuring a decent life for all of its people, and a decent life starts with stable, affordable and healthy housing. I welcome the government's commitment. I thank the social sector for their commitment, and I thank Auckland Council, and can I just single out 2 councillors involved in the committee that will be dealing with this, Councillor Penny Holtz and Councillor Kathy Casey, who have a long-standing commitment to dealing with this problem. Thank you, councillors, and thank you, Graham, for you and your team for your support and your vision. I hope that all of you find the panel discussion tonight informative, and I know that we will find the comments that Sam Semberis makes tonight not only informative but inspirational, as indeed his work has been over many, many years. Working together, I believe that we can create a city that all of us can be truly proud of. Thank you very much.